right, there we go. So hopefully our people that are Zoomers will find us there. Hopefully. All right, so I have a little bit of an agenda. I've got some requests for neck and shoulders. Does anybody have any other requests? Jaw. Jaw, jaw, jaw. Yeah. Hands. 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 Go back. Okay. Sounds good. All right, so we're going to start on our backs. We're going to have our knees together, feet together. Have your props kind of handy, just so that they're there if you need them. We're going to put our hands behind our thighs, we're going to make a C, and then we're going to come down just one vertebra at a time. We're going to lift our legs, we're going to put our knees over the stick, right? So I've got a stick, I've got 2 blocks, a bolster, and a strap. Right, but I can do it with pretty much no props. And then just squeezing the stick, we're just going to kind of go from side to side. Just pulling those thighs in a little bit towards us. And then we're going to let the side to side turn into circles. And then change direction with those circles. And then stopping with those circles, let's just bring those legs in. We're going to come underneath the stick and we're going to lift the stick up into the backs of the knees. We're just going to traction our own backs. So as I lift the stick up into the backs of the knees, I want to think about kind of bringing my tailbone down towards the floor, finding a little bit of a back bend. Good. And just finding your breath, some nice big belly breaths here.
A neutral spot.
Ideally, most of us will be imprinting, but you can find the muscles that would take you into a neutral spine. And then releasing that stick, bring your left foot down, put the stick underneath just the right knee, and see if you can straighten out that left leg, just to where it's comfortable. And then we're going to draw circles with just the right knee. See if you can have your hand on the pelvis, and see if you can not move the pelvis while you draw circles with your knee. And then change direction with those circles. Stopping with those circles, we're going to screwdriver, so we're going to internally and externally rotate that leg. Maybe putting your hand on your thigh and encouraging that thigh to stay with your knee right over the hip. Just kind of find that rotation in the hip socket. And see if you can get your left heel centered and your left knees and toes pointing up towards the sky. And then stop with that knee center. Take the stick, now put the stick on the front of the leg, and like you're almost doing a handstand, push your hands into the leg, push the leg into the hands. Bending your left knee is going to make it easier, especially if you have a hard time straightening the right leg. We're going to point the right foot and straighten it without the thigh moving away from you. We're going to flex and exhale to lower. So we're going to point, inhale to lift, flex, exhale to lower. And again, use as much force as you can with your hands, and then find the back of the leg, the hamstring, and push back into those hands, right? So that you're pushing into the stick, and the stick is pushing into the leg. Neutral pelvis if you can. Good. And then we're going to flex to lift, point to lower. Flex to lift, point to lower. Just like that. I'm just really strengthening that hip flexor up. And then straighten that leg as much as you can. See if you can internally and externally rotate it. Like a screwdriver. Just a little bit. You can bend a bit if you need it to. And then stop with that. Bend the knee, bring that foot onto the floor. Let the soles of the feet clap, let the knees come apart. Place the stick on your navel, hands on the outside edge of the stick. And just inhale, breath lifting the stick up. Exhale, breath sinking beneath the stick. Good. Inhale, breath of the belly, lifting the stick up. Exhale, feel the stick sinking. Press the soles of the feet to one another. If it's too much to be in a cobbler, you can go to a creeper with the soles of the feet on the floor, the knees slightly lifted. Take 5 more big breaths here and just think about what we want to create in our legs, what we're looking for. And then when you're ready, we're going to bring those knees up. We're going to take the stick behind the back of the left knee, closing that knee, right? We can straighten out that right leg if you like or not. And we're going to start with circles with the knee, holding onto that stick. And when I'm doing the circles this way, I want to think about keeping that stick pretty level with the top of my mat. So I'm not internally or externally rotating. My right leg is also neutrally rotated. Looking for the biggest range that I can find, ideally not moving the pelvis. And we're going to go the other way. How's the temperature, you guys? I had the windows closed just to warm it up. I'll crack a couple. See if we can get this neutral. And then stopping with the circles, see if you can take that kneecap right over the hip and do a little bit of a screwdriver action. Internal, external rotation. And again, if you bend that right leg, it'll probably be easier for most bodies. So do what you gotta do. I'm trying to keep that thigh to 90 is usually helpful too. And then stop with neutral rotation. Take the stick, push it as hard as you comfortably can into the front of the quad. Think about the back of the leg pushing back into the stick. You're going to point to lift, you're going to flex to lower without that quad moving forward or back. 0 rotation on both legs. And then flex to lift. Point to lower, flex, inhale, lift, point, exhale, lower. And then straighten to hold. See if you can internally and externally rotate slightly here. You could bend your knee a little bit if you need to. And then bend the knee, release. Both feet on the floor, both knees and feet at hips distance apart. Arms beside you, push into the fingers, push into the palms. And then a nice inhale to come up into your back bend, keeping those feet that hips distance apart. Think about moving the flesh of the butt away from the low back and the middle of the butt up towards the sky. Root your elbows, root your palms, root your shoulders. Let's go 10 more breaths here. Now imagine there's a stick in the backs of your knees. Now lift the backs of the knees up to the kneecaps. That's at an angle, right? And understanding how the joints work at an angle can be difficult to grasp. So I want you to think of that angle of the back of the knee to the kneecap. And then when those 10 breaths are complete, coming down nice and slow, let's allow the soles of the feet to clap and the knees to come apart, hands on the belly, and let's take some big, beautiful breaths into our bellies. If you want to take your stick, I like to take my stick really low, so it's kind of just above my pubic bone and underneath my hip bones. And then I'm going to use my hands to kind of push down on the stick there, and then see if I can lift the stick with that lower abdominal breathing. And then see if you can get the stick to drop. As you inhale, feel the stick, maybe your fingers are a block lifting, and as you exhale, feel it sinking. Again, you can come into a creeper, putting the soles of the feet on the floor anytime it feels like too much of a stretch. Let's see if we can get 10 big breaths, starting in the lower belly, and then let it come up more close to the rib cage. Feel free to add a mantra to these last 5 breaths. Never hurts to plant a seed of intention, particularly with the breath and the mind focused. And then when we're ready, we're going to bring those knees up. We're going to roll off to the side, and we're going to push ourselves up. So because we've been doing so many standing poses lately, we might be a little bit tighter in our calves. So we're going to go for a nice calf stretch, okay? Depending on the flexibility of your knees, I really don't want you to feel your knees. If you're at home and you don't have a bolster, you can use 2 blocks, 3 blocks, or you can sit on the edge of your couch, right? I'm going to take this bolster and I'm going to put it in the backs of my knees, and I'm pretty tall, so I'm going to really use my fingers to push it in, and then I'm going to sit back. And it is a calf stretch, right? But I don't want to feel my knees. If I'm thinking that my knees don't have this range, or I want it to be less, I can put 1 or even 2 blocks between my calves like that, and then I could do this, right? And then I can sit back like that, right? Or I can even wedge it in here and have it be a little bit supported. And if I'm, the person that needs that kind of space, then odds are this is enough of a stretch anyway with the ankles. But we're never, ever, ever, ever allowed to feel our knees in yoga, okay? If we start to feel our knees, we just come forward, we open up the backs of our knees, and then we add more height or a different position if that position doesn't work for you in any way, okay? These are angry dogs, and we do not poke them, all right? So we're going to start with our stick, and we're going to start with our stick in the palms of our hands, and we're going to find these fingers, and the fingers are going to imagine that they have their own little sticks. Do you need less, or are you good?
I don't know.
If you feel your knees, you just come up whenever you need to. You put the block underneath the bolster, and it just gives you more height.
I don't feel my knees, but it's certainly not stretching my calves.
It is not stretching your calves. Don't worry about it. Yeah, some people it's going to stretch their calves and ankles, and if it's not, it's not.
I feel it in my ankles, but
Yeah,
not
there
in
you
my
go.
calves.
It's all good.
Okay.
I feel it squishing my calf. not
Yeah.
stretching.
Yeah, and for me, that's like a stretch, right? Yeah. Squish is like
It's a stretch.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
And then imprint and arch, imprint and arch, imprint and arch. Good. So we got a stick in the palms, and then I want us to think that we have sticks underneath our fingertips. Good. And then find a nice neutral pelvis and just pull your elbows apart a little bit. So I call it like a mogul elbow when our elbows create bumps, right? So some of us, and I used to have a really big carrying angle, are gonna look like this. You can see there's a bump where my elbows are, so then I'm gonna pull my elbows apart to where there's no bump, but it's not a bend, right? And there's just kind of an in-between place where you're pulling the elbows apart, the elbows are engaging, right? You can relax your shoulders without the ribs changing, so we're not going to imprint or arch. We're going to keep our spine. We're going to bring the arms up, elbows don't change. We're going to exhale to bring the arms down, elbows don't change, right? So I'm looking for symmetry here. My stick is level, my elbows are level, my wrists are level, my shoulders are level, my hips are level. All right, so this is called Joint Stability Series. It is magic. Right? Particularly if you practice at home with a mirror, it can really fix all kinds of problems. Particularly in the neck, shoulders, upper back. Devin, you all good there? Yeah. And you can swap the seat anytime you need to, right? So elbows not changing as we go up and down. Good. And then bring it up to a place that's comfortable to hold up. We're going to relax our jaw. We're going to take our jaw and we're going to pull it out like an underbite. And then we're going to pull it in like an overbite, underbite. Overbite, underbite. Overbite, underbite. So you know how we do this with our own bones? Let's try and do that with our bottom jaw, right? So we're going. Does that make sense if I describe that okay?
Uh-huh.
Right? It's like a shelf, a drawer, you're pulling it out, you're putting it in, you're pulling it out, you're putting it in, she no pain. And then relax it, okay? And then we're gonna take the top jaw to the right and the bottom jaw to the left. And then back to neutral, and then top to left, bottom to right. And then just slowly go back and forth, slow as you can go. And then hold one direction, take 5 breaths. So one to the right, one to the left. And then go the other way, hold for 5 breaths. And then jaw relaxes, bring our arms down, beautiful. Place the stick beside us, let our palms face up, let our shoulders relax, and take a few big breaths here. We're going to stretch out the backs of the knees, so we're going to stretch, come back into this position. You just take your bolster out, you come into tabletop, and you can come through a tabletop and just stretch out the calves this way. Let's all start with that one. And kind of set yourself up so your palms are down, your fingers are rooted, shoulders are super stable, and you're just moving your pelvis back to get the heel, and then your pelvis forward to get the toes. Pelvis back to get the heel and the Achilles and the calf, and then pelvis forward. Lift our belly, lift our ribs. And then other side, right? So you straighten it out and you go one, then the other. Good. Just going back and forth. And then when that feels complete, you can add 1 or 2 blocks, right? You can add your bolster if you feel like you want a little bit more height or anything in between, right? So I'm going to do it with just the bolster, and I'm going to shove it into the backs of my knees. Now, if I wanted it to be deeper than last time, I bring my heels to touch and I keep my heels touching, right? If I'm like, that's a little too much, I'll let my heels come apart. Right? If you've had enough of being on your shins or your knees or whatever, sit any which way you like. For this next one, we're going to have the stick in our hands, palms down, pinky use your feet and push your feet down into the floor. And so this is magic, right? So some of us drive our cars like this, where one arm goes in and one arm goes out. A lot of us do our mouse and our business like this, right? And it causes us all kinds of stuff, right? So next time we start to feel our neck and our shoulders, we're just going to look at the placement of our arm bones in our shoulders and just see if we can give ourselves instant relief. So find just right, like they're not all the way out, but they're not all the way in. Good. And then we're going to rev our motorcycles. And we're going to look at the wrinkles on the wrists. So ideally in this series, the palms won't slide and the fingers won't move. Doesn't have to happen today, but that's eventually the end game. Good. And then arrive with no wrinkles without pulling the arm bones out or in, keeping them symmetrical. We're going to drive our cars. No wrinkles in the wrist. Check out those wrist habits. And if it's easy, you can speed it up, but if you're not sure, just go a little slower and keep the wrinkles out of the wrists. Spine's not moving, shoulders aren't moving. Beautiful. And then stopping with that, again, relax those shoulders. We're going to inhale to bring it up without changing the back. We're going to exhale to bring it down. Good. We're going to inhale to bring it up, and we're going to exhale to bring it down. Without those ribs popping or changing in any way. Inhale to bring it up. Hang like a monkey in a tree. Lift your chin a little bit, right? Open up your mouth and do big circles with your jaw. Big circles the other way. And then stopping with your jaw circles, bring your chin back to neutral. Lift your stick up. Exhale to bring your stick down on the crown of your head. Relax your shoulders. And let's just spin a little bit, keeping the crown of our head right over our tailbone. The elbows are not moving. Good. And then I want us to twist to the left. And I want us to lift our crown up. Lift your crown up, lift your crown up. This is going to get wacky. Get your elbows level, get your stick level, lift your crown up. Turn and look towards the right elbow. Good. Now, can you level up your elbows? Can you level up your shoulders? Relax your shoulders. Now, take your tongue and take it to your left cheek without moving your head. And then clean your teeth, like if you're going to clean the left cheek. Clean the left cheek. Like there's something stuck in there. Relax the tongue. Bring the neck back to neutral, bring the twist back to neutral, twist to the right. Now get those elbows level, right? Use the shadow on the floor. Am I level, right? And then turn the head the opposite way you twist, so turn your head left. Excuse me. Take your eyeballs right and clean your right cheek. So they noticed that people were having a lot of jaw stuff during mask season. And they came up with this to release the jaw. Just going around in Jimmy circles. I don't even remember this. We went through a major season of doing this a couple years ago. And then tongue comes to center, eyes come to center, neck comes to center, elbows come to center. Beautiful. Inhale to bring that stick up without turtlenecking. We did all this work. Exhale to bring it down. Maybe it comes behind your head, maybe it doesn't. No slipping of the palms. Inhale up, pull those elbows out to the side. Beautiful. Rib cage back, belly in. Inhale straight up, exhale straight down. Without the spine changing, without turtlenecking to get it behind your head, right? It can be here, it could be here, or for some of us, it's going to go behind. If it's super easy and you're not going into a big anterior tilt, Naomi, check me out. Ribs back, okay? Without popping the rib cage, if I can still do it, then I can go small. back, then I keep the width. So elbows out, elbows up, elbows out to the side, elbows up. Is anyone not getting this? Is it feeling really good? I think this is as good a trap massage as you can ever give yourself. You can do it with a rope too. You can sometimes use the straps, but I kind of like a stick sometimes too, particularly when we're twisting. And then just bring it down to a place that's comfy to hold. Rest if you gotta rest. And just breathe. Just go 5 more breaths here. And then when those 5 breaths are complete, nice inhale to come up, exhale to bring your arms down. Place your stick beside you, palms up, shoulders relax. Close your eyes and breathe. And then when you're ready, we're going to come forward. We're going to ditch that bolster for a moment. We're going to bring our hands onto the floor. And we can have, we can go back into stretching here by moving our pelvis forward and back. Maybe we start with that. Getting our palms down, getting our fingers down, lifting our belly and our ribs. And then once we find that that's warmed up, maybe we take it into a down dog pose if our neck and our shoulders are up for that, right? If we've got any shoulder stuff going on, we don't want to do a down dog. We want to do either a puppy, right? Or if that feels too intense, a child's pose. And then whether you're in a puppy or a child's pose, I want you to move, or not child's pose, puppy or a down dog pose, I want you to move your hips to the right. So you just take your whole pelvis and you move it to the right, right? And you particularly take your right outer hip and you take it towards the wall behind you. And then you bring it back to center and then you take your whole pelvis, arms are straight, and you move it to the left. So if I'm here, I can do it here and I get a really nice groin stretch. Right? If I'm here, I do the same thing and I just move it from side to side. Really moving my hip flexors back. And when that feels complete for you, maybe another 10 breaths, whatever you got, make your way into a child's pose. And since we have the blocks, let's put at least one block underneath our forehead and let's hold that block with our palms. And then let's find symmetry in our hands, our elbows, and our neck, right? So we can line up our pubic bone, our navel, our forehead. We can find symmetry in our palms, our elbows, our shoulders. We can find a nice neutral neck here. Again, we can be further forward and find it too. Let's take 5 more breaths here. Maybe we match a mantra to those last 5 breaths. Really have your palms on that block, squeeze that block, let those wrists warm up. And then when those 5 breaths are complete, hands underneath the shoulders, bring your knees underneath your hips, take your feet and your knees a little bit wide, like as wide as our shoulders. Lift your belly, lift your ribs, walk your hands back to your knees, lift your knees, walk your hands back to your feet, bring your feet onto the floor. Take your hands onto your knees, straighten out your arms. Good. Lift your belly, lift your ribs, push into those feet, and up you come, okay? So everybody at home, if you don't have a stick, you can use a broom handle, right? And we're gonna take the stick like this. So if you imagine that this block is in the shape of a long mat, right? You're gonna put your block in front of your left foot like it's a house, and this is gonna be the ceiling or the roof on the house. So it's at a 45-degree angle with the block. And I'm going to take my foot and I'm going to put my toes on top of the stick, but I want my toe mounds on the floor. That's really important, right? So, Carrie, you don't have that right.
No.
Stick on the other side. Yeah, and we're doing the other foot, Neil, but as long as you change it, you're good. Doesn't matter to me, as long as you just do the other side. Good. So check me out. I've got my big toe and my heel touching the house block, right? And I've got my toes on the roof block. Or a stick, it's a stick. So check me out, Grace. Maybe I can't see you quite well there, actually. It looks okay when I come down, the light was in my eyes. But I've got the stick, or sorry, the block right here, and the stick right here, so I'm really watching my foot, okay? Good. I'm gonna take my knee right over my ankle. Right, so I'm going to bend my knee, I'm going to get my knee right over my ankle, and my toenails are down on the floor. And then I'm just going to step this left foot back, keeping my knee over my ankle. Nice. And then I'm going to put my hands on my hips, my elbows back, and without my pelvis moving, I'm going to straighten and bend that right knee to the ankle, away from the ankle. I'm just trying to keep my pelvis pretty stable, my shoulders pretty stable. Good. And I'm going to ride with my knee right over my ankle. Now, this is going to be tricky. You're no longer moving your knee forward and back. Lift your heel straight up, pelvis doesn't move. Heel straight up. Good. Heel straight down. So a lot of us, we're still doing this movement, right? I want you to go straight up without your knee coming back and straight down without your knee coming back. Good. So you're going to go up with the heel, down with the heel. Up with the heel, down with the heel.
Yep, I can't.
I think I can. You can just think about it, right? For some of us, that's tight. I think for probably most of us, that's pretty tight. Good. And then just lift that heel to hold. So you know how sometimes people have the baby toe cross over the second toe, right? I've seen it uncross after one session, right? Just one time doing this. And it really is good for, you know when you get that kind of thing on your bunion?
Bunion.
Keep on breathing, lift that heel as much as you can, lean that knee forward, good. And then drop that heel down, keep the knee stable, step that left foot forward, step the right foot back, and just feel those feet. And then we're gonna put the roof on the other side of the house for the left foot, right? And so then I'm going to put my big toe mound heel pressing up against the house block. And then all my toes are on the stick, but my toe mounds are on the floor. So you want to have the block, twist the block, yeah. So turn the block so it's lengthwise. There we go. Nope. Keep going. There. Nope. In between. There you go. So that's your house. This is your slopey ceiling. This is where your foot is. I know, it's weird, right? I should have seen when I first used to teach this, before I came up with the house ceiling analogy, it was a freaking nightmare. And then get your knee right over that ankle, right? So we're not like this, right? But we're like the whole leg bone is over that ankle, right? And then you're going to walk this right foot back without this left knee moving. Learning how to stabilize the knee is such a great trick, right? And you can be wider, but I like to try and have my heel in line with my heel. Good. And then hands on the hips. I try not to move my hips too much, and I'm just going to straighten and bend my knee. And as I straighten my knee, it's kneecap pushing back. And as I bend my knee, I think about the back of the knee lifting to the kneecap. Not pushing forward into the calf, but lifting to the kneecap. It's an angle. And then bend the knee right over ankle, lift your heel, drop your heel up, heel down. Pull in the belly, heel up, heel down. And just working with your own breath. Knee is not all wibbly wobbly. So knee doesn't go back to you. Heel pushes forward, ankle pushes down. Heel pushes forward, ankle pushes down. So it's like the knee is sliding up and down a wall, not forward and back. It's just basic functional movement training. And then bring that heel up to hold. Mind-body connection, right? We come up with these weird little things to keep the mind able to do the things the body likes to do in order to be healthy. But if we don't do it, we lose it, right? It's just like a language. You don't speak it, you don't read it. 20 years later, never bothered learning it, you don't know it. Good, let's go 5 more big breaths. I see you, Michael, cheating on that stick. No toes up, it's okay.
Mine rolled away from
Oh,
the
they're supposed to be up?
They're supposed to be up. The toes are on the stick, the toe mounds are down. Yeah. Or not, I don't mind. I'm not the boss of you. And then bring your heel down, step your right foot forward, step your left foot back, feet at hips distance apart, palms forward, let your knees be a little soft. Good, and then just breathing here. Big, beautiful breaths. Okay, so for fun, I'm gonna put the stick in the middle, and then I'm gonna put my blocks like this, just at a very slight angle. Right, so my stick's in the middle, which is gonna help our brains, I hope. Right? And so it's a pretty slight V. Now if I have any balance issues, I'm gonna put my hand on the wall. But if I put my big toe mound on the top corner, then I can wrap all my toes over the block, but my toe mounds are on the block. That's what I'm looking for here. And then I just kind of step, and I put my other foot. And I'm a little wide here, right? This is a shoulder's distance, which is fine. If you want to be more narrow, you can be more narrow. And I want to be able to curl my toes over that, right? That makes sense? Good. Nice. I'm going to curl all my toes, and I like to think of a bird on a wire. I'm going to bend my knees a little bit, and I'm going to curl my toes. I'm going to zip my belly. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to curl my toes. Inhale to bring your arms up. Interlace your fingers, right hand on top of left. Flip your palms. Bring your arms up. Relax your shoulders. Imagine you're pushing your palms into the ceiling. Curl those toes. Lift those toes. Curl those toes. Lift those toes without the toe mounds lifting. Knees tracking feet. Ideally, the feet are as straight as that stick. All right, so you see your duck foot, you want to have a spear foot. So, yeah, there you go. Let's bring those arms down. Yeah, so bring those arms down just a sec. Yeah, and see, so we're going to get the heel and the toe straight with the stick. There you go, and see if you took that right to the corner, then you can wrap all those toes. Good. There you go. Nice. So we still have quite a few V feet. We want to have straight feet if we can, but let's not mess around too much on those blocks, right?
So the point goes in between your big toe and the next toe. Point
No.
of your block.
No, it's under my big toe. So my big toe is wrapping over the point of the block. So I took my big toe mound, I put it right on that center point, and that's the longest point of my block. So even if you have bigger feet than me, which is rare, you're gonna fit. Good. And then just curl and hold. And then just breathe here. And then just straighten your legs out, but keep that mini micro bend. Good. And then exhale to bring your arms down. Beautiful. Release. See if you can lift your toes and float your toes in neutral. Palms forward. Fix your gaze on one point. Feel those feet. Big inhales, big exhales. Feel like you have someone pushing your quads back, pushing your hamstrings forward. Lift up into your chest and breathe. See if you can spread those toes. Float them and spread them. Good. And then wrap those toes over like you're a bird holding onto a log. Interlace your fingers, left hand on top of right, flip the palms, bend at the wrist, bring it up, bend your elbows if you need to, relax your shoulders, lift your toes, drop your toes, lift your toes, Drop your toes, but the feet don't have to move, right? This is the exercise. Can my toes be separate from my feet? Both like mind control, but also they can actually move without my feet moving. And can my other toes be just as ambitious as my big toes? You should see the stuff that goes on in elder feet. We want healthy feet. Good. Now lift your toes neutral and see if you can balance perfectly here. And just hold those neutral toes. Now see if you can push the quads back, the hamstrings forward, neutral pelvis, lengthen your ribs, more big, beautiful breaths. Remember the we will rock you. Back when the studio was like down to like 10 or something like that, we had this yoga challenge through that season where everyone was locked in and really not allowed to see their friends, and we would do this for 5 minutes, no, 10 minutes a day maybe, to Queen, We Will Rock You. It's really funny. Queen of the Mountain. Out of all my students, 3 did it the whole, I think it was like 6 months or something crazy. It was like it was through the bad season, it was through the dark days of being stuck at home. And then nice and slow, bring it down, release, palms forward. Beautiful, relax those toes. And then mindfully step off. Good. And feel those feet on the floor. It's something else, eh? And so this season in my mind, right, when there's all these transition, weather, whatever, it's a time to really find your roots, your feet. Good. We're going to take our stick into our hands. We're going to have our feet at hips distance apart. Stick in the hands. We're going to hold it, palms up. We're going to bend our elbows to a 90. And then we're going to lift our toes just a little bit off the floor. So they're not quite on the floor. We're going to bend our knees a little bit. Elbows at a shoulder's height. So I'm not going to do this, right? I'm going to keep the elbows at a shoulder's height. I'm going to take them too far out, too far in, too far out, too far in, and then I'm going to find just right, okay? Now I'm really not going to do this. Everybody make a little promise to yourself and keep it. Keep those elbows with your shoulders, even if it means you do less. Exhale, elbows down, inhale, elbows up. Every time we keep a promise to ourselves, right, the brain pathways actually change, and it's easier to keep a promise to ourselves. So if we keep a super easy promise, like I can see my elbows and they're not going to go wide, right? That's a really easy promise. I'm going to try and keep them symmetrical, right? And then I'm going to lift them to where I can comfortably hold, and they're not going to do this because I can feel in my palms when I'm not level, right? I can see when my elbows aren't level. Some of us can come back. Most of us will be here. Drop your toes, bend your knees, lift your heels. Just lift your heels. Reach with those elbows, just right. Just lift those heels. And if you can't, bring it back a little bit. Bring it back. Good, 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 good. Fix your gaze and see if you can drop your heels, lift your heels. A little bend in those knees, no wibbly-wobbly knees. There's a stick in the back of your knees. Stabilize your knees. Knees don't turn. Good, just go up and down wherever we're at, but we're keeping the symmetry. Good, good, good. And then lift to hold. Zip your belly. Push into your feet. Good, good, good. And drop those heels. Bring those arms down. And release. Palms forward. Shoulders back. Find your breath. Big inhales, big exhales. I'm going to hit some lights here. I'm not busy with Zoom. I didn't light my candles for you guys. How's the temp? Do you want any more windows open or temperature down? We're doing standing poses, so bring it down a little bit. Let me know if you want something open. All right, so everybody's got a wall. Bring your mat to the wall. This is my imaginary wall. My right baby toe edge of the foot is going to be at the wall. And then I'm going to put my left heel in line with my right heel. At home, if you don't have a wall, just use your stick. You can use your imagination in a stick. You don't necessarily need a wall, but a wall is really nice. And then I want you to push the baby toe edge of your right foot into the wall, and I want you to walk that left foot into the room. And I want your front heel to be in line with your back heel. Mini, unless you know that you can straighten the leg and keep a mini micro bend, a fairly nice bend in that back knee. Push into the baby toe edge of your foot and lift up your back arch. Now without moving your torso, I want you to bend your knee so it's right over your ankle, and then I want you to straighten it. And as you do this, this leg is in a straight line, right? So my whole leg is tracking my foot. And my knee does not ever go past my ankle, right? And there's no knee on the inside, there's no knee on the outside. I'm making sure my knee goes right over my ankle. Good. I'm going to put my knee right over my ankle. I'm going to push into the baby toe edge of my foot, and I'm just going to bring my hand down onto that knee so that I know my knee is not going to move, right? And then I'm going to open my shoulders. Good. Without my knee moving. Good. Nice. And just breathe here. Now take your left butt and push it forward towards your right groin. Watch that your knee doesn't go in. Watch that your knee doesn't straighten, Carrie. I'm looking at you. Put a stick in the back of the knee and move the back of the knee towards the kneecap. And then just bring that right arm up. Nice. Good. Press into both feet. Lift up the arches in both feet. And then just see if you can straighten that front leg. See if you can bend that front leg just where it goes. Straighten it and bend it, without it going in or out. Just go nice and slow. Make sure you're learning how to track the knee with the foot. Nice. Knee doesn't go past ankle. And then open it. Now lengthen from inner groin to inner knee. Good. Now keep the knee lift up away. You might push into the wall, you might not. Bring the opposite hand into the room. So one hand is to the wall, push into it, the other arm's in. You can lower it so that the hand is not higher than the shoulder and push. Without the knee moving, we open the chest. So knee stays right over ankle. So can I show you something? So stop. If I can't show you, if you move. What's your habit? Yeah. Yeah. So really think about, so if you can't hold it, do less. Bring your heel here. Right? All the way back to my stick. And then straight from big toe to heel. Now see if you can keep it, you know what I mean? Good. And then when you're ready, let's straighten. Let's pivot on that front foot. Let's take that back foot and bring it in just a little bit. Now baby toe edge of the foot is straight. So slightly pigeon toe. Hands are going to come onto the knees. We're going to take the butt back. Get your shins at a 90. Right, so we've done this a ton with our feet at hips distance apart. Now let's give it a shot. Feet a little wider. Baby toe edge of the foot is straight. Take your butt back. If you can still have a neutral spine, come down onto your elbows. Take your butt back. Take your shins back, right? If you can still have a neutral spine, put your hands on the floor. If you can still have a neutral spine, straighten your legs, whatever position you're in. Move your hamstring towards your butt. So straight arms, straight legs, straight back, okay? Eventually, the heel of the hand is in line with the heel of the foot, so you get a really nice wrist stretch. Breathing here. Now think of your shoulders, think of your back, think about their relationship. If your legs are straight, you bring your thighs forward to a 90. Good. Straight back. A little bit of a back bend. Now, if your arms are straight, your back is straight, your legs are straight. If you are that person, you take your elbows back, straight back. Otherwise, you just stay where you're at, right? Hanging out is a great place to be. So Devin, you feel how you're getting that marshmallow back? So try elbows on the knees. Yeah, and then can you check me out? Pull the arm bones into the back. So you feel how now we're not getting the back. So now you can lift your butt up and back instead of just jamming the back, which you probably do at work. Does that make sense? So the thing is here, we're not meant to touch the floor, right? We're here to have a neutral spine and come down eventually, but it's more about getting the legs in the back to be neutral. Good. So Allison, pretty ambitious. You feel your back, right? So bring your elbows back onto your knees. Now find your back. See how nice that is? Good. Now lift your butt as opposed to bringing, yeah, you feel the difference, okay? So it's much straighter and we're not pulling to that same spot that loves to pull. Good. And so wherever you're at, right? If you're all the way down, you first straighten your arms. You can bring your hands to your knees. You straighten your arms, you bend your knees. Good. And then you push yourself up. Heel toe, feet to hips distance apart, palms forward. Slow down your heart rate by slowing down your breath. Okay, so as you're doing that, check me out. All right, so, right? Do you see the difference between that? You see how my neck doesn't move versus, does that make sense? Right? So anytime that we can't move our neck, we just go back, right? If you, and I always think this is a great lesson for life. If you can't say no, you shouldn't be doing it, right? You shouldn't be around those kind of people, right? And you shouldn't be doing that to your body either, right? You should be able to say yes, but you should also be able to say no, right? Otherwise, it's sitting at your office again, right? And we don't want to be doing that in yoga class. We want to train in yoga so we start to sit at our office and say no. Occasionally. Not every day, because then you would be broke when you're older, but occasionally say no. All right, so enough of that. Let's go left foot at the wall. Left baby toe edge of the foot at the wall. Right heel to left heel. And again, we can be, ambitious if we should be ambitious. Looking at you, Lisa, push it if you're supposed to push it. But if you know that you don't really know how to control that knee, and Michelle's always going, knee, then you do less, right? And then you find a spot where you can really control it, right? So you find whatever spot you're at, and then keeping this leg bone straight, right? Then you're going to bend and straighten. Bend and straighten. The habit is the booty goes out. So we've got to cut this booty in so that we're not losing the pelvis, right? And then we find a spot where we can hang, good. And then we're going to bring our hand to our knee, just to remind ourselves this is not a joystick, right? We will have that flexibility if we learn how to do it, but we're not born with the ability to do that and not hurt ourselves until we train, right? Then we're going to cut this butt to this hip so we don't do this and twist our knee. And then we're just going to see if we can twist our torso without torquing our knee. And we don't have to twist it much, right? It's more about supporting the knee than it is about opening the torso. So this would be like a side angle, right? We could bring this arm up. Let's have it just straight for today. Just work with one arm. Good. And then without straightening it completely, push into both feet. Straighten that right knee. Almost straight. And you can turn and look towards that left hand. And you cut that right butt forward so that we don't move that butt out to its own side. And then you zip, 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 zip your belly. And is anybody not getting a hip stretch? Good. Say it again. It really depends on who you are. I feel it here and here, right? So if you feel it in your shoulder, that's where you need to feel it. If you feel it in your groin, that's where you need to feel it. Right? If you are really good at cutting your butt and then lengthening, then you feel it in both hips. Just depends. Everybody's going to be different. Good. And then you're going to bend that right knee. You're going to bring your left hand back. Remember, you can push into a wall, but keep it shoulders tight. You're going to push into that leg without the knee moving to bring it up. Reach with your arms. Watch if the knee doesn't go in or out. Control your knee. Good. Push, push, push. Good. Keep on breathing. Knee stays stable. And then straighten. Pivot. Heel toe this in. So come away from the wall. And then heel toe this out. So that's screwdrivering, right? Do you understand that this is screwdrivering? Go as wide as is comfortable. Get the baby toe edge of the foot nice and straight. Now if I had sciatica, I would pigeon toe more, but I don't think anyone in here has sciatica. So it's just baby toe edge of the foot straight with your wall, right? And then we're going to bend our knees. We're going to put our hands on our knees and we're going to take our butt way back, like we've been training to do. Straight spine. So again, can I say no here? Yep, I can, right? If I can say no here, then I go to elbows. Can I say no? Maybe my hands come to the floor if I can still say no, right? Maybe my hands go in line with my heels and I straighten my legs. And then I'm going to stay here for a moment and I'm just going to traction my spine. So straight arms, straight back, straight legs. And then if I'm straight, 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 then I bring my thighs to where they're straight like a wall. And I get this really nice wrist opening. And then with a straight spine, I can come down, and that distance, my head will come right between my hands, right? Elbows straight back, head comes between my hands. And then I let the weight kind of sink into my head. I may move my hands back a little bit if I need to, right? And then I just think I'm gonna lift my feet, and my elbows are gonna hold me. I'm gonna bring it up. I think I'm coming through an internal rotation, right? Elbows don't move at all. And then I find that little bit of an external rotation. It's a long lift in the hip flexors, hip flexors, hip flexors, hip flexors to bring it down. And then I can go back to straight arms. So let the weight come into the head, take your pelvis back, right, and just go to where you can hold it. Hip flexors, lift them. There you go. There you go. Up you come. Rotation, rotation to neutral. Find those elbows. Good. Nice, you guys are looking good. And then down you come. So let's see, I'm lifting your hip flexors, and you're gonna screwdriver, screwdriver, screwdriver. You gotta screwdriver those legs. Screwdrivers, screwdrivers, bring them back, down, down, and back. Watch that stick. There you go. And then back to straight arms. Elbows or hands on knees, bend your knees, up you come. Heel toe, your feet in. Knees and feet a hips distance apart. Slow down your heart rate by slowing down your breath. So let's try one round of standing poses without the wall, okay? So I stand in the middle of my mat when I'm doing standing poses. Let's make sure our sticks are in a safe position, right? So face whatever way you want. And then you take your right foot out, you take your left foot out. And that's where you find your stance, right? So this is my natural range, right? And I don't push it, I don't keep going for it, right? Because this is where I can control my muscles, right? And then my heels are in alignment. I'm going to pivot on my right heel, and I'm going to find my right big toenail heel straight. I'm going to push into my left baby toe edge, and if I know that I'm feeling quite strong, I can move my left heel back a little bit. And then I bend into my right knee. Without my knee going, no, so I don't go wider with my feet, right? I've already checked my stance. I don't want to go wider because I've checked where I can physically open my legs to. Does that make sense? And then I put a boundary on it. I don't let my knee go past my ankle. So if I can physically only step out to here using my leg muscles, then that's as wide as I should go, right? If I can physically step out to here using my leg muscles, I go wider. Does that make sense? That's how you know how open your body is, so you know how far to go into the pose. You got it? Good. So then we keep the knee right over the ankle. Take your hand to your knee, little mini bend in that back knee. Maybe your elbow comes down to the knee, but the knee doesn't move. Good. We cut that right hip to the right groin, and we open the book of the right leg. So with your knee there, think about opening your right knee back without it moving. Good. And then maybe you can sweep this arm through so that eventually the ankle is in line with the wrist. Nice. Everybody's breathing. Big, beautiful breaths. And then bring that arm to a T. Put your hand on your knee. Slowly straighten that front leg almost without the knee wibbly wobbling. Good. So that's a triangle. Good. Feet tracking, knees tracking. Can you lift your toes? Could you say no? And then bend into that front knee. See if you can come up into a warrior without the knee moving. Don't let that knee wibble wobble. It's not a joystick. It's a mountain. Good. Then straighten on that front leg. Pivot. Let's take a break. Heel, toe, heel, toe, heel, toe. Feet at hips distance apart, palms forward. Breathe. Slow down your heart rate by slowing down your breath. Then you're ready. One foot out, other foot out without forcing. Heels in alignment. Then we bend that left knee, we pivot on that left foot. We find the left big toe heel straight, right? We can think about pushing this into a wall, or if we know this is easy for us, we pick up the heel and move it back. We're then going to bend and straighten that knee a little bit, taking it to the ankle and back. Ankle and back. And we get deeper as we get stronger. So we see how that knee is coming in and going past the ankle, right? So do less and control the knee. Nice, and then get that knee right over the ankle, push into the baby toe edge of the foot, lift up the arch. You can put your hand there, you can put your elbow there. Cut that booty in, there's no movement in the knee or the pelvis, and maybe you sweep that arm through. And then use your arm on your leg, arm pushes, leg pushes back. Whichever direction you want it to go. Open the book, close the book, now we do this. Good. You see it, I know it's because you're not on the mat, but this has got to stay straight. Yeah, there you go. Very nice. You see how this knee's coming in? Exactly. Think this butt pushes forward. Not knee forward, booty that way. There you go. Now you see it right in the hip as opposed to avoiding it and making the knee a hip. Good, good, good. All right, now put your hand on that knee. Bring it back so it's like a T, and then see if you can straighten that knee slowly, tracking that foot for a triangle. Okay? So it just goes straight back. Okay? Nice, and so that's a triangle. Put the knees tracking the foot. There's no hyperextension or internal rotation, right? So you gotta do less and go slower. So what's your habit? And so how did I correct it last time? Yeah. And you went right back to where you were, right? Makes sense? Okay. So you just got the same correction. Next week, don't have to give you that correction, right? That's right. Remember that is less. Not gonna take as big a step, not gonna go so far. Good. And then you're gonna bend into that front knee. And then the knee's not going to move. You're going to pull in your belly, knees solid, and you're going to bring those arms up. Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Good, good, good. Very nice. That chair work sure helped. I know the chairs are annoying, but I'm not fixing many knees today. Yes. And then nice and slow, straighten, pivot, heel, toe, screwdriver. Knees move with feet. Tadasana. Focus on your body, focus on your breath. Slow down your heart rate by slowing down that breath. So Lisa, check it out, right? You come down, find your hands, bend, 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 head comes down, hands go back, right? So I find my elbows, and I can do it back here if I'm less flexible. I lift my heels, I find my Barbie feet, right? And then I come up, and I have to think about bringing the legs in, right? That's pretty basic. Then I take them out, and I'm going to get stuck. So I have to externally rotate, lift the hip flexors. See if I lift the hip flexors to bring the feet in. Right? Everybody else, one foot out, other foot out. You're with us too. Hands on the hips, elbows back. Elbows aren't going to move, right? That's going to be a boundary on our shoulders. Bend our knees. Push into the baby toe edge of the foot. Come down with a straight back. Straight back, straight back. Lift your hip flexors and come down with that straight back, just to where you can. If you need to put your elbows on your knees, you can. But see if you can do it with your hands on your hips and your elbows back. Just go to where you can. Let's go, Lisa. Hands back. Hands back, so find your arms, pinch up. So where should your elbows be? Think 90-degree angle arms. Tripod headstand. So that's pretty wide. Yep, elbows in, hands back. There you go. When you're done, you're done. You can come out and take Tadasana anytime you like. But it's a goodie. Stay as long as you can. So how do we go in and out, right? You're going to bring your pelvis back, lift your toes. Yeah, heels up, heels up. There you go, and up, come. And naughty and helping you. There you go. Legs together, watch those elbows. Good, and then legs wide. Rotate, rotate, rotate inside the hips. And lifting your hip flexors. There you go. And then when you're ready, bend your knees, push into those feet, inhale up with that nice straight back, screwdriver those legs in, Tadasana. Slow down your heart rate by slowing down your breath. And then when you're ready, you can either come through a squat to the floor, or you can come through your bear to the floor. And then we'll end with 3 back bends, just like we did last week. So, if you're doing Urdhva, if you know what Urdhva is, it's a block wide between your feet and narrow between your thighs. If you're not doing Urdhva, try a block medium between your feet and a block narrow between your thighs, and we'll do a little forward. So we come down nice and slow. We bring those feet in as close as we can, arms beside us, and we come into our little bridge. And we're going to hold that little bridge for as long as we can comfortably. Is that medium?
That's the smallest.
So
That's
this
the
is
next one, and that's the widest.
medium,
Yes.
most narrow, biggest.
Okay.
Does that make
Most
sense?
narrow in between
The
the
thighs.
thighs.
Yeah, medium between the feet, unless you're a lot taller than me. Let's do blocks for the first one. And really moving the flesh of the butt. So eventually, we want to have our ankles right underneath our knees, so don't move them, but measure, are my ankles right underneath my knees, or next time should my feet be close to my butt? I want my entire palms down, so for some of us, the arms can go wider to really get those arms to root, right? Elbows, shoulders, palms, fingers, all rooting. And then we move the flesh of the butt away from the low back and the middle of the butt towards the sky. Let's go 10 more breaths here. When those 10 breaths are complete, you're going to come down super, super slow. And between back bends, we lie in a Shavasana with our eyes open. But if our backs prefer to have our knees back, we can keep our knees back. But between sets, it's an open eye Shavasana, and we do our absolute best not to blink. The weird stuff my yoga teacher makes me do, right? And then with our eyes open, I like to visualize I've got little tiny matchsticks between my eyelids. My outer eyelids are trying to squeeze the sticks. My inner eyelids are trying to drop the sticks. And then I blow up my eyeballs 5%.
Nice.
And then I'm going to go to my nostrils and I'm going to try and expand my nostrils. And I'm going to take big full breaths in and out through the nose. So we do that for a bit, yeah. And I stay in my rest as long as I need to slow down my heart rate. And then once my heart rate is slowed down, I do another back bend. And I remember from the previous one, if I think my feet need to come to me or away from me. I'm going to use this same block structure. And no tweets today either. And then I'm going to hold this second one as long as I fancy. Pushing into the fingers, pushing into the palms, moving flesh of the butt away from the low back, middle of the butt to the sky. And then I want to think that I've got a ball underneath my back ribs, and I want to root my back ribs down as I lift my pelvis up. And then I try and pull my pelvis and my back ribs away from one another. So I'm really lengthening that low back as I learn to back bend. And again, you can hold it as long as you like. Traditionally, the first one is usually the longest. We go further faster and use more muscles in the second or the third because we're warmed up. When you're done, you come down, you rest, and then you do another. So the rest is an open-eyed Shavasana. Palms up, legs straight if it's comfortable, but knees bend if that's better for you. And you keep your eyes open, you do your absolute best not to blink. I think of a little stick between my eyelids, and the outer eyelids are trying to close, and the inner eyelids are trying to open off the stick. So I get this kind of pushing more between my eyelids, and then I can go to my eyes, and like they're a balloon, I can blow them up 5%. I can expand them in all directions, and then I can go to my nostrils, which have an erectile function, that if we don't breathe in and out through our nose, it loses its ability, right, as we get older. Sound familiar? And so we want to keep that erectile function of our nostrils. So it's like there's two marbles, and we're trying to expand our nostrils off those two marbles, and then we're going to breathe in and out through our expanded nostrils. And we see if we can expand from the opening all the way up into the skull, like a big bull. And then you do this until you've slowed down your heart rate, you feel more energized, and then you do one more back bend without the blocks, but with the muscle memory of the blocks. Unless you want the blocks, feel free to use the blocks, but if you do it without the blocks, great. And just a short little hold, putting in your most effort. You hold that last one again as long as you like. And then when you're done, you give those legs a big hug for a full wind remover. And when we're doing back bends followed by a wind remover, we don't rock because we want to use it for digestive purposes. We just did a lot of twisting. Then we did a back bend. So we want to get those legs as close to our belly as we can. And then we want to hold them there. And then we want to think without moving the thighs away from our belly. We want to bring our tailbone closer to the earth. And then we want to find our deepest, fullest belly breath. And you count your breaths, you swap the crossing so it's symmetrical if you're doing something that requires symmetry, and big, big belly breaths. And that gets things moving through the digestive tract. And once that feels like your back is released from those back bends, you can take a well-earned Shavasana. I'm going to ditch the lights for those of you at home, but we'll still be here. If you want to shove that holster underneath your knees, I don't think we use it for anything else. So you may as well use it for Shavasana. slowly, gently, starting to wake up your body from the inside by deepening your breath. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Nice big inhale, stretch your arms. Exhale to let your arms fall down heavy. Start to bend your knees, walk your feet towards your seat. Exhale to roll off to your right. Nice inhale and arm strength to push yourself up. Let's make our way into a comfortable seated position. Let's bring our hands into Namaskara in front of our heart center. And with a nice big bow before we dedicate the merit of our practice. May we use this class to be mindful of the words of Swami Vivekananda. Do not say, I am bad. Say, I am good, but be better. Thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your practice. Namaste. Namaste. Bye. Thank you. Hi, everyone in Zoom land. I'm so sorry about the Zoom situation. I will get on it. Be well.